Hello, good morning, and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. This is Shyam Kaggod here, taking up the Hindu News analysis dated 15th June 2025. Now, before I start the discussion, please do let me know in the chat section that I'm audible as well as visible for all of you. Please do let me know, give me the confirmation. Done. Thanks a lot. Let's start. As usual, before I start, a very important announcement. I keep on seeing in the chat section that you are not able to see the PPT, PDF of the, let's say, the session that I'm taking up. Once the session is over, the PPT's PDF will be uploaded in my Telegram channel. And this is the QR code. All my PPTs, whatever economy sessions I take, Hindu news analysis I take, all the PPTs are uploaded in this Telegram channel. If you're someone who is preparing for the civil services examination 26 and 27, you need to ensure you have a comprehensive coverage of all the static syllabus. You are updated with the current affairs. You will have access to good question papers for prelims as well as mains both. You can avail all of this once you purchase our courses, which is available at a price of 17,999. And if you use the code IAS English, then you will also get an extension of up to 12 months free of cost. Those who are interested, please do check out the details by clicking on the link provided below in the description. Let me start the discussion. So I've taken totally 9 articles from Daily Edition. We will have a comprehensive discussion. It is done in order to ensure that all your requirements for prelims as well as mains are addressed. If you like this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button and join our YouTube channel if you're yet to do that. Now, the first article, the Prime Minister will be having a three-nation tour now. Three-nation tour will be taken up or will be done by India's Prime Minister. Now, what are the important points? Point number one, the three nations which will be covered in this particular tour are one, Canada, second one is Croatia, and the third one is right, the Cyprus. Now, what is the important points associated with this particular tour? In the context of India and Canada, listen to me carefully. In the context of India and Canada, in the recent times, there have been certain concerns. The earlier Prime Minister of Canada leveled certain allegations regarding the participation of India's, right, let's say certain authorities in conducting strikes or in basically having attacks on certain elements in Canada. Now, there were allegations, counter allegations, clarifications given by Government of India. It also basically spilled over into the diplomatic offices as well. Now, the new Prime Minister is right, basically trying to address this particular issue by having negotiations, talks with India's Prime Minister. Now, the G7 summit, that is group of 7 countries, the summit this year is going to be held in Canada. Along with the 7 countries, the member countries of right this particular grouping, there are special invitees. There are special invitees who have been invited. 5 invitees, special invitees who are participating in this. One of them is India. India is not a member of G7. Please remember this. But as a special invitee, India will be right basically participating in this particular summit. Now, this will give basically a let's say a platform for both India and Canada, leaders of both of the countries, to talk to each other, cool down the temperature, because India and Canada, right? Please understand this, has a huge history in terms of trade, in terms of labor, in terms of exports, imports, etc. So, in addition to the movement of the labor from India to, let's say, Canada in search of jobs, in search of education, etc., there is also huge amount of a trade. In addition to this, lot of investment is also done from Canada in India. Right? For example, the pension funds, right? The pension funds of right the Canada, that is central government owned pension fund, has a huge amount of investment in India. So argument is it will basically provide a platform for both the leaders to come together and have a discussion. that is expected to boost the bilateral relations. Now, point number two, what is the importance of being invited as a special invitee in the G7? Listen to me carefully. The G7, initially when it was set up, it was called as a G6. That is essentially grouping of six countries. Later on, Canada came on board, it became G7. Then Russia came on board, that will become that basically became G8. Now Russia is not part of this particular grouping. Now it is essentially called as a G7. Now, what was the logic behind establishing G7? When you look at the economic history, not India, but the global economic history, during 1970s, two very important events happened. One, essentially the American economy, that is the government of India and the government of USA. My mistake, government of USA announced that they will not be following gold standard. In addition to that, during 1970s, there was a crisis in the crude oil. Disruption happened. The market volatility in terms of prices of crude oil also was there. So, in that particular backdrop, they established a group of industrialized countries. The group of industrialized countries in order to promote cooperation, coordination. That became the G6, then G7, then became G8. Right now, it is G7. Now, what is the importance of being invited as a special invitee? Mind you, this is not the first time that India has been invited for the G7 summit. G7 summit. Even before the pandemic, that is from 2019 itself. 2019 itself, India has been invited as a special invitee. India has participated. 2019, 2021, 22, 23, 24, and 25 now. And that's the reason the article simply says it will be the sixth time that the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, will represent India as a special invitee in the G7. Now, some of you might be thinking, sir, 2019, what happened next year, 2020? Was there a summit in 2020? No. And I'm pretty sure all of you know the reason behind that. So, since 2019, whenever the summit has been held, G7 summit has been held, India has been invited as a special invitee. What is the importance of this invitation? One, India will be able to represent its viewpoint amongst the industrialized countries, especially in current situation. That is, let's say, after the Pahalgam attack, after the dastardly Pahalgam attack, India retaliated, conducted Operation Sindoor. It will be the first time Operation Sindoor that the Prime Minister is taking a foreign trip. And that is the reason this trip will have a very important, let's say, a very high amount of importance. So, India will be able to again represent their arguments. The Prime Minister will be able to hammer this particular point as to why terrorism is bad, what should be done in order to address terrorism, what kind of measures India will be taking in the coming days, including pushing for grey listing of Pakistan under FATF, etc. In addition to this, please understand all these countries I said are industrialized countries. Is it okay? All these countries are industrialized countries. And when India is called as a special invitee to participate, it is a special recognition given to importance of India. Because mind you, India is one of the largest economies in the world now. According to Government of India, the fourth largest. It is important in terms of market, that is having high number of consumers for various industries. It has multiple industries which will manufacture the goods, services, export to the global market. So, as a special invitee, it will also showcase the importance of Indian economy in the global market. So, these are certain important points in the context of India, Canada, India, G7. Now, the third very important point I want to discuss in this context is why the Prime Minister will be visiting Cyprus. Why the PM will be visiting Cyprus. There is a importance to this particular point. Please make a note of this. In the Hindu newspaper, the article mostly discusses India and Canada. They're discussing India and Canada, what has happened in the past, etc., etc. I've told you all of it. But why? Why, in addition to right Canada, Prime Minister will be visiting Cyprus? There is a very important message that the government of India want to send. The message is related to the recent attacks or recent conflict between India and Pakistan. One point of importance during this particular conflict was that Turkey supported Pakistan. Correct? I'm pretty sure all of you know this. Turkey supported Pakistan. Turkey supplied drones to Pakistan. And it is not the first time that the Turkey, in terms of defense, in terms of, let's say, the equipments like this, is supporting a country with which India has certain issues. Turkey is also supplying defense material to Bangladesh. It is supplying defense material even to Mauritius. And if you're following international relations, you will know that there are certain points of conflict in terms of security between India, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, India, and Mauritius. Right? So I said Mauritius, Maldives. The argument is very simple here. Turkey has been supporting Pakistan, especially it was evident in the recent India Pakistan conflict. Now, what is the important point? Why Prime Minister is visiting Cyprus? No doubt, this country is important for India because it has proposed a corridor by the name of the uh, India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, IMEC. India has proposed a corridor through which they want to get access to the European markets, that is called as IMEC corridor. Important. Please make a note of this. Now, this particular IMEC corridor essentially will be taking this route. I'm pretty sure all of you are able to see this and get access to the European market. But when you're taking this particular route, it has to cross through multiple countries. And one country that it will cross through is Israel here. And the second country, which will become very relevant, important for India, if this has to become successful, is the country Cyprus. It is the country Cyprus. Please have a look at this. And the reason why India is visiting or the Prime Minister is visiting Cyprus is historically, if you see, there are certain frictions or point of conflicts between Cyprus and Turkey. Back in 1974, if you look at the population of Cyprus, I'll tell you what happened in 1974. The population of Cyprus essentially is the population which has migrated from Greece as well as the population which has migrated from Turkey. That is, in simple terms, people who are there in Cyprus, right, essentially are descendants of these two countries. They have migrated from these two countries. They are present, and their generations, right, intergenerations have grown in the country Cyprus. In 1974, there was a coup to take over the government, which was supported by Greece. And in retaliation, Turkey also used its military and ensured certain presence of the activities of Turkey will be done in Cyprus. And that is the precise reason Cyprus is essentially divided into two parts, not officially recognized, but listen to me. They are divided into two parts like this. That is the southern part of Cyprus, northern part. Again, not officially recognized by United Nations. In the northern part, in the northern part, there is Turkish recognized, right? The government of Turkey has recognized a region called as Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Of Northern Cyprus. Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. In short, TRNC. This was recognized by Turkey back in 1983. So 1974 coup, 1983, the Turkey government recognized this particular region as TRNC. But please understand, internationally, this is not accepted. United Nations, this is not accepted. Basically, this is counted as one country, that is Cyprus. And that is the precise reason the government of India recently has seen what kind of, let's say, activity or the support that was given by Turkey to, let's say, Pakistan. Now the Prime Minister is taking a visit, is making a visit to this country, Cyprus. So, in terms of the IMEC, in terms of, let's say, representing solidarity with this particular country, and by the way, Cyprus has given support to India, is in support of India whenever India talks about eliminating terrorism. Whenever there is an issue of Kashmir, Cyprus supports us. And whenever India raises the issue of having a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council, this country has always supported us. So defense, right, let's say the trade, as well as right, the support like this, diplomatic support like this, these are the reasons why the prime minister will be visiting the country Cyprus. And by the way, this is not the first time that the head of India, or let's say head of the state, head of the government in India is visiting the Cyprus as such. Earlier, 1982, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi visited Cyprus. 2002, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee visited. And even now, right, 2025, Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, will be visiting Cyprus. Done? So these are certain important points associated with this article. Everybody is okay with whatever points I've discussed here. Can I move forward to the next one? Do let me know. Can I move forward to the next one? Okay, great. So based on this MCQ, consider the following statements. Please give me the key answer before I give you the key answer in the discussion. India has been participating in G7 summit as a special invitee since 2019. Since 2019, yes. Since 2019, India has been participating as a special invitee. The current members of G7 are the founding members of the group. Please do let me know. Right, current members of G7, are they founding members of the G7 grouping? No. I told you initially it was called as G6, right? Then it became G7, then it became G8, right? So initially it was G6, right? Then it became G7. So this particular grouping initially was called as G6, and Canada, which is a member country, was not a part of these particular six group of countries. Second statement is incorrect. Right, so first statement is correct. Right option for the question will be option A. Only one of them is correct. Next, important article. Who is accountable whenever there are sunken ships? In recent times, of the coast of Kerala, two accidents have taken place. Two ships. Do not remember the names of the ships. Not important. Two incidents have taken place where two ships, in one of the cases, the ship has sunken, and the second ship essentially is on fire now. Now, whenever these kind of accidents do happen, right? So let's say because of the man-made mistake or because of anything else, who is going to take up the responsibility? Who will be held responsible? For example, if the ship is carrying crude oil and there is a leakage because of the fire, etc., there is a leakage. Now there will be environmental impact because of this. Who is going to be held responsible for that? Right, so remember this. There are two aspects which are being discussed in the article. I'll discuss both of them. Listen to me. There are two aspects. One, whenever there is a loss of, let's say, the merchandise which is being carried, the goods which are being carried in the ship, if there is a loss, who will be responsible for it? And second, if there is any spillage because of this accident, then if there is any impact on the environment, who will be responsible? And are there any international protocols, any international convention that can be asked in the preliminary examination? But before this, whenever you talk about international trade, most of the international trade is done using sea routes. Everybody is okay with this? Most of the international trade is done using sea routes. How much? For example, in the context of India, 90%, more than 90% by volume and more than 70% by value. Remember this. More than 90% by volume and more than the 70% by value of the trade that we do is using ports. Is essentially done using ports, that is using sea routes. In that particular context, is there any international organization which will oversee the international trading done using the sea routes? That is, the shipping lanes are there. Is there any international organization to, right, have an overview of all of this? There is one authority, please make a note of this: International Maritime Organization. IMO. International Maritime Organization. As of now, under International Maritime Organization, India is a member country, and along with India, more than 170 countries, to be very precise, 175 member countries are part of International Maritime Organization. IMO, right, was set up in 1958. It is a part of United Nations. It is under United Nations itself. And so these are important points. Now, whenever you talk about these kind of international organizations, generally the practice is the member countries do come together, hold deliberations, discussions, and then come out with certain conventions. Is everybody able to understand? They will come out with certain conventions. And this is not applicable just to IMO. For example, there is one more arm of United Nations, UNFCCC, right? That is a Convention on Climate Change. There also the same practice is followed. Member countries come together, they will have a discussion, deliberation, then they will come out with a convention. So, multiple conventions have been approved under the International Maritime Organization. Under many of these particular conventions, India is a signatory, and many of these particular conventions, India has ratified them by introducing laws in the domestic or in this in the domestic area itself. That is, domestic laws have been implemented to basically implement the provisions of the conventions. Now, the important conventions that you need to remember, please make a note of all of these. Can be asked in the preliminary examination as well as mains. Please make a note of all of these. And when I say note, make a mental note. If you want to download the PPT, it will be available to you after the session. Do not panic. Now, in the context of the conventions, three very important conventions have been mentioned in the article. Right? Multiple conventions are there, but in this context, just remember three. One is the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from the Ships, right? Basically implements the policy, that is the polluter pays principle policy. For example, I said in recent times there have been two incidents of the coast of Kerala. In the second incident, there is a concern that certain amount of oil, the fuel, is leaking. He said, okay, a certain amount of fuel was being carried. Now this is right concern that it will be leaking. Is there any convention in the global market which will mandate that the polluter, that is the shipping company which is carrying the fuel, will be paying the amount for cleaning all of this mess? Yes, there is a convention. Please make a note of this. International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from the Ships. There is another name for this, MARPOL. I'm pretty sure some of you are actually writing that, right? MARPOL. Right? That is one more name for this. Please remember this. Second one, there is also one more convention, Nairobi Convention on the Removal of Wrecks. Right? What is the importance of this particular convention? A ship is going, for whatever reason, it will sink. Now, somebody has to clean it up. That is the wreckage of the ship. I'm not talking about, let's say, the spillage of oil, etc. Wreckage of the ship. Somebody has to clean it up. Somebody has to carry this particular ship. That is essentially covered under the Nairobi Convention on the Removal of Wrecks 2007. Third one, Convention of the Safety of Life at Sea. SOLAS. Convention on Safety of Life at Sea. What is the importance of this? Any ship that is carrying certain number of passengers, it should have lifeboats. This was actually implemented, or this came into force after the accident, right, which basically sunk Titanic ship. The unsinkable Titanic actually sunk. After that, we realized that we should have a higher number of lifeboats on the ships. And that is the reason this SOLAS has been implemented now. India is a signatory of all the three. Essentially, under SOLAS, any ship that is carrying certain number of passengers on both the sides, on either sides of the ship, it should carry lifeboats. How much carrying capacity should be there in the lifeboats? Both of the sides, that is on each of the sides, same number of lifeboats carrying capacity equivalent to the number of passengers in the ship. Meaning, I'll just give you one example. a ship is carrying, let's say, 50 passengers. On each of the side, lifeboats should be there of 50 passenger capacity. That is the implementation or the importance of SOLAS. Everybody is okay? Done? Right? So these are important points. Now, if there is a loss of, right, let's say merchandise, who is held responsible? Please remember, it is the shipping company which is held responsible. Is the point clear? Right? It is a shipping company which is held responsible if there is any loss of merchandise. And if there is any spillage which will cause a loss to the environment, damage to the environment, in such cases, again, who is held responsible, who has to pay for all of these cleaning, etc. Again, it will be the shipping company. It is the carrier company which will be held responsible for all the cleaning expenditure that will be incurred. So these are certain important points. In addition to this, there are two more terms which are mentioned. I'll tell you about it. Right? Understand this. One is the concept of FOC, flags of convenience. Flags of convenience. Now, what do you mean by flags of convenience? Imagine there is a shipping company which is present in India. Okay, this shipping company is present in India. It will purchase a lot of ships, the vessels which will be used for transportation purposes. But what if this particular company feels Indian rules and regulations are very strict? The rules and regulations in India are very strict. So instead of registering these ships which I've purchased in India, I will register this in another country. Is everybody able to understand? I am present in India. The company is present in India. But the registration of the ship is not done in India. It is done in any other country where I feel the rules and regulations are very easy, very relaxed, and will not put a higher burden pressure on me. That is essentially called as a flags of convenience. Now you'll ask me, sir, any country which these kind of relaxed regulations? There are two examples which have been provided here. For example, Liberia, or for that matter, the Marshall Islands. These two have much more relaxed conventions, or let's say relaxed the guidelines, etc. That's the reason lot of these particular shipping companies register their ships in these two areas. There is one more the terminology which is mentioned here. Please make a note of this. That is a lading bill or bill of lading. Bill of lading. This can be suddenly asked in the preliminary examination next year. Now, somebody says Bahadur Alam is saying buffering. Is it happening for everyone or is it only for Mr. Bahadur Alam? Please do let me know. Please do let me know in the chat section. Is it happening only for one or is it happening for everyone? All clear? Okay. Mr. Bahadur Alam, please hit the refresh button. Okay, let's go forward. Bill of lading. What is this concept of a bill of lading? Imagine I'm a shipping company. You want to transport something from India to USA. Now there is a contract between you and me as to basically what goods I'll be transporting, what quantity I'll be transporting using the vessel. That is called as bill of lading. Is everybody okay? So flags of convenience, bill of lading, in case of accidents or loss of merchandise, in case of impact on environment, what is going to happen? And finally, what are the different conventions that you need to remember? Right? Essentially, if question is asked, you should write it. Right? So these are certain important points. Somebody asked me in the comment section or the chat section, should I always download the PPT? Can I basically write it down in my book? If you want to write it down, write it down. But anyways, it is there in the PPT. That's the reason I told you, you can download. If you want to write it down, you can do that. Okay, let's solve this. MCQ number 134. Consider the following statements regarding International Maritime Organization. India is the founding member. Yes. It was established in 1948. It functions under World Trade Organization. Right? So India is a founding member. Yes, the statement is true. It functions under World Trade Organization. No, it functions under United Nations. It functions under United Nations. Now, when did I say this is established? 1958. No, make a correction here. The IMO was not established in 1958. It was established in 1948. Please make a correction. It was established in 1948. Statement is true. So both the statements are true. Again, I repeat, 1958. No, 1948. My mistake, 1948. Right. So first and second statements are true. Right option for this particular question will be option B. Only two of the above statements are correct. Now, associated with this, those who are practicing, let's say, mains answer writing, I've given one question for your assignment. The shipping industry will play a key role in India's economic growth and international trade. However, recent shipping accidents off the coast of Kerala have raised certain concerns. Elaborate the statement in 15 marker question in 250 words. Please try it out. Now, if you ask me, sir, how should I write the answer? Start with what is the importance of the shipping industry in India? What is the importance? And then go forward and explain what are the concerns, right, from the recent accidents which have been raised. And finally, you can conclude by saying that India is a signatory to these kind of conventions. In addition to this, there are also different laws, domestic laws. For example, there is a Environmental Protection Act of 1986. There is also Merchant Shipping Act of 1958, which can be utilized to basically address these kind of events. Done? Okay. Right. So this is one assignment. Please do try it out. Next article, an update. Please make a note of this as well. The Government of India, Ministry of Civil Aviation has announced establishment of a panel. They set up a panel which has been given certain terms. I'll come to the terms. Don't worry. What is the importance of this article? In recent times, I'm pretty sure in the last 2 to 3 days, you must have come across multiple newspaper articles, multiple news items in the YouTube, in your feed, etc., where there is a lot of discussion associated with civil aviation safety in India. Accident has happened, yes, big tragedy. But the issue is now what should we do? How can we address these particular safety issues going forward? To address this particular problem, the government of India now has announced setting up of a panel. Right, the panel will be headed, have a look at this, the panel will be headed by Home Secretary. There are multiple other members in the panel from different departments as well. But this will be chaired by the Home Secretary. The government of India stated that the panel has to submit the recommendations in the next 3 months. The panel will submit the recommendations in the next 3 months itself. Now, what will be the terms on what the panel will give recommendations to Government of India? Have a look at this. First one, what is the root cause? What is the root cause of this crash that has happened recently? Air India crash that took place in Ahmedabad. What is the root cause of it? Now, many of the experts have raised a concern regarding this. Reason being, there is already one investigation that is being done. That investigation is being conducted by one more authority. Please remember this name as well. That is Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. Remember this. Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, AAIB. AIB was established back in the year 2012 in India. Earlier, these kind of accidents were investigated under DGCA itself, Directorate General for Civil Aviation, DGCA. Earlier, the work was done by them. The government of India back in 2012 decided no, let's have a different authority altogether to basically follow the right, let's say, practices, the global standards. Back in 2012, we have established one more authority, that is Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. Now, this authority is already conducting investigation as to what was the cause. They are already conducting investigation. So that is the reason many experts are basically asked, even during that press conference. There was a press conference, by the way. Some of the reporters asked, but sir, there is already an investigation being conducted by AIB. Don't you think it's a repetition of it? Or there is a overlap? The minister basically said, no, that AIB is specifically investigating the current crash. But apart from this, there are so many, right, let's say concerns, or let's say so many, let's say crashes that have happened in the past, or right, planes have skid off from the, let's say the runway, etc. All these issues now will be in detail investigated or studied by this particular committee, right? So AIB specifically for that crash, but the, right, let's say security concerns or the scare that have taken place in the recent past, all of them will be taken up by this particular panel. What was the cause there? Was it because of the human error, or there were technical issues, or right, let's say we ignored weather, etc.? What was the cause? That is the first one. Second one, it will also recommend a certain improvements that we need to do. That is changes that essentially we need to make in the coming days, and formulate suitable SOP, standard operating procedure. SOP stands for standard operating procedure, which will help us in preventing these kind of crashes. And finally, the committee will also suggest a certain, right, let's say policy changes to the government. If you need to make any kind of a change in the policies, that will also be recommended by the committee. So these are certain very important areas based on the studies. Based on their studies, they will give recommendation to the government in the next 3 months. So these are the two very important points. Please remember both of them. That is, one panel has been set up. These are the terms of references. And second one, there is already one more authority which is investigating the recent crash, which was set up by the government back in 2012. Right. So associated with these kind of right, let's say disasters, man-made or natural, etc. Don't worry about what is the cause of it, but what are the concepts associated with that which are being discussed. Please remember all of it. Okay. Now associated with this, one MCQ. Consider the following statements regarding Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, AAIB. You should not be making a mistake here because I've already given you the key points. AIB functions under DGCA. It functions under DGCA? No, it functions under Ministry of Civil Aviation, MOCA. It was set up in the year 2012. Yes, straightforward, factual. Both of them are factual statements. The right option for the question will be option B. Only two is correct. Okay. Now let me go forward. The state government of Arunachal, or the state cabinet of Arunachal, has announced that from 2035 or 2025 to 2035, it will be right declared as right the decade of hydropower. It will be declared as right decade of hydropower. Now, what are the important points mentioned and the background points that you need to right understand? Two very important things. One, Arunachal Pradesh has a huge potential of harnessing hydropower. That is, a lot of rivers are passing through, right, in this particular state. The state government wants to harness these flow of a river, or let's say the river waters, and generate electricity. That is hydropower. They want to install, right, basically through various companies, they want investment to be done, and that will be a huge amount of investment. And hydropower projects, it could be small, it could be medium, it could be large hydropower projects. They will be right in investment will be done, and they will be developed in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, and that's the reason they have declared this particular decade as a decade of hydropower. That is point number one, right? But associated with this particular point, there is one more important point. If a company is allowed to set up this particular hydropower, what is the benefit for the state government? What is the benefit for the state government when they invest and develop the hydropower project, sell the electricity, etc.? The state government here has clarified that 12% of this power, 12% of the power will be given to the state government. That is, essentially, the state government will get it, free power, sell it, and generate revenue. 12% as it is, and 1%, right, 1% power will also be given to the government here under the local area development provision. Local area development. What is the argument of the government? The government simply says we are going to allow different companies to set up these particular power projects. They will generate electricity, and they will sell electricity. But all the electricity, they will not be allowed to sell. Some of it, they will have to give it to the state. And the state will supply or will sell it, get the money, and this money will be put into a particular fund. Right? They are calling this as escrow fund, escrow accounts. Right? All of this money, more than 4,000 crore rupees, will be put into fund, and from this particular fund, the money now will be utilized for development purposes. So this is point number one. Point number two, which is mentioned in this particular article, is the issue of the Siang Upper Multi-Purpose Project. SUMP, Siang Upper Multi-Purpose Project. What is this SUMP? Listen to me carefully. The Chinese government has announced a very big hydropower projects on the river Brahmaputra. Right? It is an upper riparian country. We are a lower riparian country. That is, Brahmaputra comes from right their region, enters into India, then goes into Bangladesh, etc. But what is the concern? The Chinese government has announced a huge hydropower project on this particular river. Now, there is a concern that if you develop that particular project, the flow of river water into India might become constricted. Suddenly, they will increase the supply. It can flood a certain region in India. They will cut right the water supply. Certain region might find it very difficult to get access for water, etc. Now, in order to address this excess flow or lesser flow of the river water, once the dam is constructed there or hydropower project is constructed there, the government of India has proposed a project in Arunachal Pradesh. It was there, but government of India back in the year 2008 has declared this particular project as a project of national importance, or it has been declared as a national project. But against this particular project, there are certain concerns which have been raised by the local residents there. Their argument is, if you're going to construct, right, let's say a project like this, the supply of water again will become restricted. Right? For other regions, the water might become restricted now. Certain regions might become submerged. Certain people might be forced to migrate. Certain regions which are important for us, right, because of our religious practices, because of our belief, etc., all those regions can become submerged now. That's the reason there is certain opposition from certain regions which are being covered under this particular project. So the state government now says we will hold consultations, we will try to address all their concerns. We will talk to all those particular parties. A technical term they have used is the projected affected families, PAF, projected affected families. We'll talk to them. We'll basically provide all the information. We'll try to address their grievances, right, so that the project will be implemented smoothly. And so these are the two very important points associated with the article which is provided here. Everybody is okay? So far, so good? Please do let me know in the chat section. Everybody is able to understand whatever I'm discussing? How submergence will happen? My dear, if you're going to construct a, right, let's say the river is flowing like this. If you're going to construct a dam, don't you think water, right, will be held? And if water is held, right, I hope you understand, right, the water can basically cover certain regions earlier, which was not covered. SUMP full form. SUMP basically stands for Siang Upper Multi-Purpose Project. Multi-Purpose Project. Siang Upper Multi-Purpose Project. SUMP. Done? Okay. Now, certain updates. These are the articles which were there. Certain other updates are also there. I'll tell you these one by one. The proposed AC temperature control norms are built on 2018 guidelines. What is the argument here? Couple of days ago, when I took up the discussion, I told you this. The government of India now is considering imposing regulations on the AC manufacturer. What kind of regulation? Right now, when you purchase an AC, you can fix the temperature between 18 degrees to 30 degrees. Right, in this particular range. Some of the ACs can also go below that, don't worry. But you are allowed to fix. By default, what is the temperature? Whenever you switch on the AC, by default, it is 24 degrees Celsius. And that is also government regulation. Remember this. Why do you think once you switch on the AC, by default, it shows 24 degree? Why it runs at 24 degrees Celsius? Because the government regulation has been announced back in 2020, mandating that the AC manufacturers ensure that once the AC is switched on, the temperature by default, it will be 24. And why 24? According to various scientific studies, 24 degrees Celsius is optimal temperature for human activity. We can easily conduct our activities at 24 degrees Celsius. That is the argument. Now, right, recently the government of India has stated that, or the minister has stated that, they want to impose a regulation to ensure that ACs will have only two ranges now. That is, the temperature will be fixed at different ranges, 20 to 28. That I've discussed earlier. Now, what is the logic behind it? Certain more arguments are given here. I've already told you two arguments in favor of that. One, below 18 degrees Celsius, health complications will arise. That is point number one. Point number two, whenever you change, right, by 1 degree Celsius, the consumption of electricity will also change by 6%. Demand will change by 6%. These are the 2 points. Now, in addition to this, couple of more points have been given here. What are the couple of more points? Point number one, back in the year 2018, back in the year 2018, the authority Bureau of Energy Efficiency, BEE, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, essentially, I hope you understand this, had come out with certain guidelines. It was not compulsory, it was not mandatory, but the guidelines basically said certain establishments, either these are owned by the government or owned by the private. For example, let's say establishments such as restaurants, hotels, etc., etc. So certain establishments were basically asked to adjust the temperature of the ACs that they are using. Simple, right? Adjust, right, the temperature that they're using in their own establishments appropriately, so that rather than using lower temperature, let's say 18 degree or 19 degree, if you can keep it at 21, 22, 23, automatically the consumption of electricity would go down. Efficiency, right? The efficiency of electricity would also be much better. Right, so that is one guideline that was announced by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency earlier. It was not compulsory, but it was right basically announced. And the authority said once this is implemented, we will study the evaluation of it and then we might change certain things. That is point number one. And please understand this. Is it that only through these kind of guidelines we are trying to promote energy efficiency in India? If question is asked, is it the only methodology that you increase the temperature above 18, keep it 24, and energy efficiency will improve? Simply say no. There are multiple reforms as well. There are other reforms as well that you need to make a note and write them as well in the examination. For example, the same authority, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, has a concept of star labeling. All of you have seen this? Star labeling of electronic consumer products. For example, you go to purchase an AC, there will be a star label, right? If you purchase, right, let's say TV, there is a star label, right? Essentially, what does the star label represent? Higher number of stars, that is up to 5, more, right, efficient the electronic product is. It will consume lesser electricity, but will give you same efficiency. There is also one more reform, Ujala initiative. How many of you heard of this? Ujala, Unnata Jyoti by affordable LEDs for all. Ujala, right? There is also one more initiative, street lighting, right? A national project, SLNP. But again, SLNP has been implemented by another special purpose vehicle, EESL, Energy Efficiency Services Limited. So I hope you understand this. Yes, this is important. We need to have these kind of guidelines so that the demand for electricity goes down, efficiency of electricity, right, would improve. But at the same point of time, also remember that this is not the only reform. Many other reforms have been implemented already, which have been successful, by the way. For example, SLNP and Ujala, we have completed a decade now. I know a lot of you are newcomers, a lot of you are going to write exams next year, but at least those who are going to write the exams this year, remember this. SLNP and Ujala, both of them have completed a decade now. Under Ujala, we have distributed more than 33 crore LED bulbs as of now. Right? So obviously there are multiple other reforms as well to improve energy efficiency. Please make a note of this. Now, before I go forward, just I want to add one point here. What is the point? Earlier I said, I believe 2 days ago, I said I've taken a session targeting only the students who are writing the mains examination. Please have a look at the session. That is, I've covered, I said, around 15 schemes of the government which are relevant, which are important for the upcoming mains examination. I was going through the comments. There were two students. One student said, "Sir, I have not received the PPT or PDF of this." And somebody said, "Sir, there is no video. There is absolutely no video on this." My dear, in our YouTube channel, go to the live right tab. Under the live tab, just scroll down. Right, 3 or 4 days ago, I've taken this. There is a very nice picture also. Thumbnail is also there. Please have a look at the video. And somebody who says, "Sir, PPT, PDF is not available. Notes are not available." Telegram channel. Scroll upwards. You will get the notes. Okay, let me go forward. Next article, just an update. Israel attacked or conducted certain attacks against Iran. It basically called it as Operation Rising Lion as a retaliation. As a retaliation, now, right, two things are pretty much evident. One, Iran has categorically stated there is no point of participating in the next round of talks with USA. These particular talks are unjustifiable. These talks are unjustifiable. Right? The reason being, their argument is Israel attacked us, and right, we are conducting retaliatory attacks now. USA is supporting Israel. USA has right basically used its technology, using its equipment to thwart, to basically cut the impact of right the attacks which are being conducted by Iran on Israel. So please understand, point number one, right? The talks were supposed to happen today, Sunday. Sixth round of negotiations was supposed to happen. It is unlikely that it is going to happen now. Second, Iran has launched, remember the name of this, Operation True Promise. Iran has launched Operation True Promise 3. Retaliatory attacks which are being conducted by Iran, these are being called as Operation True Promise 3. And that is happening right now as we speak. Last night, day for yesterday, right? There is a huge conflict which has broken out in this particular region. And many countries have either come in support of Israel or have criticized the policy of Israel. For example, European Union, they have criticized it. Right? China has criticized it. Russia, right, has criticized it. So there are multiple, right, let's say parties which are basically either supporting Israel now or are criticizing Israel. One party which initially said, the country USA, which initially said, we are not participating in this, right? Israel informed us and they had, right, they basically conducted the attacks. Now he is essentially supporting Israel. There is a huge presence of, right, let's say naval forces in the region. And everybody is okay. So these are the two very important updates associated with the conflict that is happening in West Asia. Now, another important topic, just factual information, can be asked in the preliminary examination. There is a new species of spider, right? There is a new species of spider that has been reported from the southern part of India. The species, right, have been found, or the members of the species have been found in the state of Tamil Nadu, in the state of Karnataka. Right? So please remember the name of the species can be asked in the preliminary examination. I don't expect this to be asked in the mains. For the first time, genera Spartius and Soniata, these are the specific groups within, right, a bigger family. These were earlier found only in the certain parts of Asia and Africa. The members of these were found only in Asia, right? That is the Southeast Asia and Africa. Now, these have been found in India, especially the southern part of India. Two states have reported it. That is Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. And the name that has been provided, this is what is important for your prelims. The name that has been given to this is Spartius carigari. right? Spati as Karigiri, right? That is, it is named after Karigiri or Elephant Hill in the state of Karnataka, right? So please remember the name of this. Name can be asked in the prelims exam. Done? Okay. One more article here, right? Just two more articles, just factual information. Jammu and Kashmir reopens 16 tourist spots. What is the importance of this article? Very recently, there was a attack in Pahalgam, terrorist attack in Pahalgam. After the terrorist attack, the government of India, that is essentially the Ministry of Home Affairs and the state government of Jammu and Kashmir, they announced that certain tourist destinations or the tourist spots which are there in this region of Jammu and Kashmir, we need to conduct security checks. We need to check whether the security is correct or not. Right? Citing that many of these particular tourist spots were not made available, were barred for tourist entry. 16 of them, 16 of these particular tourist places now have been thrown open for tourism. And this is important. Reason being, one, it basically shows that now there will be a higher security, right, provided in these particular regions. And second one, this is a tourism season. And although it was much more higher in terms of, let's say, when the terrorist attack took place, these are very important places, right? And these particular places attract lot of tourists. And entry of tourists will also basically promote economic activity. The whole region will be benefited because of these kind of activities. So 16 such tourist spots have been opened up, and many more, right? Many more now in the coming days will be opened up after the security checks are done. Okay. And the last article for today, five more foreign universities have been issued with letter of intent. LOI, letter of intent. Right. So, what are these particular points associated with this? Earlier, also, I've told you this. It's just a repetition for many, updation for many. Now, what is the argument here? Until very recently, the foreign universities were not allowed to open campuses in India. If you wanted to get, let's say, a graduation from this foreign university, the only option was you were supposed to go to that country, right, get a graduation, and then search for a job. The government of India, after the introduction of National Education Policy 2020, NEP 2020, after National Education Policy 2020 has essentially allowed entry of a foreign universities in India. And when I say entry of foreign universities, what does it mean? The foreign universities now with, right, essential approvals, necessary approvals, can open campuses in India and provide the courses or the graduation courses for Indian students. Right? Earlier only I've discussed this. Right? Many of these foreign universities have entered into India. Many of them are, right, discussing entry into India. Five more universities have been issued with letter of intent now. This is an update. And the authority which will basically come into picture whenever you talk about foreign universities is University Grants Commission. Please remember this. Under the UGC guidelines, UGC has come out with certain guidelines 2 years ago, under which the foreign universities, only those which are in the top 500 rankings, right, following certain guidelines, are allowed to come into India, open campuses. And so this is one more update, five more universities. Okay, so that's it from my side in today's session. I've covered 9 articles. Some of them are important for prelims, mains. Some of them are purely preliminary, right, importance. If you like this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. And if you're yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it now. Before I wind up, if there is any issue, any problem, any doubt regarding whatever I've discussed, do let me know in the chat section. If ship is registered in another country, then can navigate in Indian Sea or not? Of course, yes, they can navigate. When the ships are registered in any country, they are flagged, right? These are called as flagged ships. Right? What does it actually mean? Right? It is registered in that country. They can conduct international trade. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. What is riparian principle? My dear, riparian countries or riparian states essentially are those states which are sharing or which are seeing that the water is flowing, rivers, right, are flowing through these particular states or in this matter countries. Generally, whenever you talk about riparian states, right, there are certain principles. Again, generally, the negotiation happens between the two countries. For example, India and Pakistan, there is an agreement. India and China do not have an agreement in terms of, let's say, controlling water. What they have is an agreement where they share they share the data regarding the Brahmaputra. I hope you understand. They don't have an agreement like India and Pakistan has, which has been kept in abeyance, Indus Water Treaty, where how water is allowed to flow, what kind of rivers you can use, all of that is given in the Indus Water Treaty. But in case of India and China, no such agreement for sharing is given, right? Only data sharing. Right? How much is that data or what kind of data? Regarding that, there's an agreement. Okay. What is the meaning of stay hungry and stay foolish? My dear, essentially, every day I keep on telling this. Essentially, it means keep learning, keep taking risk, do not worry about anything else. You will learn things. Okay. Uh, any other questions? Why were foreign universities not allowed to open? My dear, historically, education has been very much controlled in India. Right? Historically, education has been very much controlled. Right? Over a period of time only, we have allowed, for example, right, civil aviation for that matter. If you ask me, sir, why were companies or private sector companies were not allowed to operate in India in civil aviation? That was the policy earlier. We wanted to control many of these sectors over a period of time. Right? So post 1991 only, all of these, many of these particular sectors have been thrown open. And the same applies to even education. Okay. Uh, why India wants a permanent state? My dear, you have to read. You have to read. Basic things you're missing. That is a problem. P5, a permanent 5. What is the importance of that? Yesterday also I've told you this. Right? For example, whenever we wanted to designate someone as a terrorist or an organization as a terrorist organization, I said China has vetoed it. That is the importance. You need to have a seat at that particular table, which can take important decisions, which can veto, right, any other policy or any other decision. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Done then. So that's it from my side. Once the session is over, I'll upload the PPT in my Telegram channel. Take care. See you next time.